welcome to the Backyard Machine Shop. Well guys, I know it's been a little while since I've actually shot a video. There's been several things going on here in the shop, and I've actually shot some video of it, just not a project type video. So in this video, I want to cover some of that with you. So this video is going to be one of my shot statuses. I think I've done a shot status a couple of times prior, and basically it just shows you some of the stuff that's going on in the shop. We've been doing a fair amount of paid work and a fair amount of work just playing around here in the shop. Again, like I said, I haven't really spent the time to sit down, set up the cameras and shoot everything, but I do have some footage from the camera you're watching, some cell phone footage, things like that I'm going to incorporate in this video. Okay, so first of all though, what I wanted to do was show you some of the new items I have here in the shop. And I want to thank a couple of people for providing them. Well, first of all, I want to thank Roy Lewis. Well, Roy contacted me a few months back, or a couple months back, said he wanted to do something for the channel. And so he did. He made a contribution, and Roy, I really appreciate it. But he also had he contacted me back and said, hey, you know, do you have this book? And this book is it's entitled A Book of Tools, Machinery, and Supplies. And what it is a catalog from 1895 that somebody has reprinted in book form. And it's the Chas, C-H-A-S, A, capital A, Stellinger Company out of Detroit, Michigan. And what this company was, it was kind of like a supply house, machinery dealer and supply house for industry out of Detroit. Well, Roy sent me the book. I didn't have a copy of it, and I'm always looking for old catalogs to look up research. I have a couple old catalogs I think I've shown before that a lot of times when we pick up some of this old stuff, you can look through these catalogs and see what options came with them or what accessories, what they cost in that time, and also you can also put the date the parts or the tools in that area. So this book, and I don't know if Roy knew it or not, but when he got this book, first thing I did was I grabbed it and I started thumbing through it just like I'm doing now, and I got to shapers, and I got to find it. I should have marked it, but they have old lathes. Oh, here it is. So when I got through this book, I immediately thumbed through it and turned to shapers. And when I got there, what I want to show you, Daddy, is you see that shaper right there. Now take a good look at it. Alright guys, so this here is a perfect example. It's almost identical to the John Doe shaper. Now it has this company's name on it, just like the shaper I have has the machinery dealer that sold its name on it. The only difference is the shaper I have does not have this brace that on the dry comb pulley. Well, anyway, that kind of confirms what I was thinking, and I ain't gonna say confirms, but that supports what I was thinking back when we were doing the shaper, is that these shapers were probably casted by a third party. They were casted and sent to these companies for final machining, or they machined them there. But anyway, they were casted for a resale under another name. And I've seen that done, especially in the woodworking industry, where you see several different machines that look just alike, and they have different names on them. And basically, it's kind of like Sears does with Craftsman. You know, Craftsman doesn't build anything; they contract other companies, Atlas and whoever, to build the parts for them, and they stamp their name on them. So that's kind of like what I was thinking was happening with that shaper. So we'll probably never know who the actual manufacturer of that shaper was, but I think I understand how it's gotten here, so, and where it came from. Also, the shaper I have had never been scraped on before, and most of these shapers you see in these catalogs actually had some sort of scraping. So I think the machine, like that brace for instance, I think that was that company's way of putting that pulley on, and it was probably a little extra cost involved in that. And so that shaper in this catalog probably cost slightly more than the shaper in the sold by the company that made the John Doe shaper. I guess you get what I'm saying. But anyway, Roy, thank you very much for the contribution and for the book. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way here in the shop. All right, the next person I want to thank is John Doe. Now, me and John Doe met a few years ago on a project down in Tipton, and we became friends. He's an avid viewer of mine, at least I hope he is. Anyway, we get together a couple, 3 times a year. Either most of the time it's at his place, because when I'm traveling through there, we stop through there and visit. And he's been here a few times. Well, he come in a couple weeks ago and spent 3 or 4 days with me. And when he came in, he brought me a few things. Now, John's always finding me deals. And a lot of the stuff that you see in this shop actually came through John's hands, one way or another, finding these deals for me. So this last trip, I'd say 6 months ago or so, he calls me up and he says, "Hey man, you need a vertical head for your K&T." I said, "You know, sure, I'd love to have one." He says, "I got a line on 2 of them." He says, "I'm gonna buy them." He says, "I'm having them shipped to me, and I'll bring them to you whenever I get a chance." I said, "Sure, that sounds great." So John did that, and here it is. It finally come in. He brought it with him when on his trip, and it's in really good shape. And of course, both of us are missing the drive gears for this. So this is a 40 taper head, and I think it's just their standard head, but it's a 1-to-1 head. And so I've got my feelers out for a drive gear, for me and for John, and I think John's doing the same thing. If not, in the next few weeks or months, we're going to look at, I've already started looking at how to make one, how to replace it. So we're kind of looking at that. So any of you guys happen to see one laying around, have one in your shop, or 2 maybe, that you want to get rid of, contact me, and we'll try to make a deal with you on those. But anyway, I've got a couple, like I said, a couple of calls out looking for parts for that drive gear. So right now it's not going on the mill because of that. Next thing was he called me. He says, "Man, I picked up a rotary table I really don't need," and he said, "I'll bring that to you too." So we got us a 12-inch. That's an Asian rotary table. It looks like a phase 2. Not sure if it is or not. I have a phase 2 8-inch. I mean, it's identical. The color, the hand wheels, everything's identical to it. And so we're pretty sure it's a phase 2. It works good. Needs a little bit of work to it, cleaning up. It's kind of a little rusty, but other than that, it works good, and I look forward to using it here in the shop. Then he calls me up and he says, "Hey man, you're not in the Wilton Club, so pick me up a little Wilton vise." Actually, I picked that up at his place on my last trip through there, so it was last week. But anyway, I got it now. I'm in the Wilton Club, so you look forward to seeing this vise being used around and so on. Well, anyway, Johnny come in, and him and his wife, and spent, like I said, 3 days with us. And one day we took time off and went and visited Savannah and did some sightseeing. The other 2 days we actually worked here in the shop. John got to run old 748 a little bit. You know, we made a couple projects for the shaper, and they're going to come up in some of this video. So really and truly, I want to thank John, and I want to thank him for all the stuff he does. He's constantly helping me out on these projects, and like I said, you know, also he brought me up. The reason he come down again in the past, he called me and said, "I know you're looking for a blast cabinet. I found you one. I'll pick it up and bring it to you." So I've got a scat cabinet, blast cabinet sitting outside, and I'll try to get a picture or 2 of it. And it's a nice cabinet. It's 36 by 60. Got a nice filtration system with it, and so you'll see that start getting that set up here in the shop. So shop's going really good, and like I said, I want to thank those 2 for doing what they did. Now, I also want to thank all of you for watching. So, you know, that goes without saying. All right, guys, so one of the other things that I wanted to show off a little bit here was this vise right here. This vise was my dad's vise. I remember when he picked it up, he worked as a pattern maker supervisor in a pattern shop in Savannah, Georgia back in the 70s and 80s. And probably I think he started actually in the 60s. And so that job and that foundry, you know, provided our needs when we were kids. So I remember one day Dad brought home this vise, and I guess I was maybe 12, 13 years old. And you know, I had no interest in tools at that time. So, but I did help him do things. I love working on cars and motorcycles. That's what my project was. That's what I like to do, and riding motorcycles. Well, anyway, Dad brought this vise home, and I remember him, well, actually, he probably just picked it up and set it on the table. But I remember him bringing it home, and it was the coolest thing to me because I could clamp all kind of stuff up in it. Well, anyway, this vise, when he brought it home, he told me, he said, "Hey, there's one thing wrong with it. I got to repair the bolt that's in the bottom of it. That if you look at it, it kind of is tipsy. And there's a bolt that actually holds the swivel base on, and he's never fixed it." Well, anyway, you know, my dad had passed away last year, and he had his shop set up down there, and there were several tools in there that I'd given him. So there's, you know, but I told my mom, I said, you know, the only thing really that she was talking about cleaning out his shop, and I said the only thing that I was really concerned with was I wanted this vise. I've always tried to get this vise from him. He would never let me have it, you know, especially when I started doing this restoration work. But anyway, so I finally pulled it out of his shop and brought it to my shop, and I'm gonna do a little restoration on it. And other than it's a Reed 206 machinist vise, and the only thing wrong with it, like I said, is that bolt, and I'm gonna fix that. And the handles have got a lot of wear in it over the years, and so we'll replace those. Other than that, it works great, and that's going to be an upcoming project. It's a restoration on that vise. So I kind of wanted to show you that and let you know what was going on with it. All right, guys. So I've had a couple requests from people that when I moved this shaper, this G&E shaper into the shop, that shaper weighed somewhere around 6,000 pounds, and I'm used to moving. I mean, I rebuilt machinery in this shop in a wheelchair. I drug with pallet jacks and engine hoists. I can pretty much do what I wanted to do. Now, the 6,000 pound shaper is actually the biggest, heaviest machine that I have in the shop by probably 1,000 pounds over this Kingston lathe here. I think it weighed in close to 5,000. But anyway, I had a couple requests wanting to see me move in this shaper. Well, one of the videos that I shot a couple months ago, I actually built what I'm calling a shop helper. And the first project that I used it on was to move in the shaper. I knew the shaper was coming in, and I wanted to do something to, not necessarily move it around in the shop, but to get it from up the driveway into the shop, which has got a slant hill, and this concrete's terrible. And so anyway, I built a shop helper. Now I've got a little video of the shop helper working, and it's actually not in the shop right now, so I can't show it to you. But basically what it is, it's a 9,000 pound winch bolted to a piece of 5/8 steel plate with casters on it. It's got a 2-inch receiver on it to where it can go into the back of the truck, and I can haul it around and use it for a winch on the truck. It's and basically what I did here in the shop is I drilled a series of 5/8 anchors in the shop in strategic locations, and I bolt. Now these are 3/4 inch eye bolts, and again these came from my buddy John. So anyway, I bolt the eye bolts in the floor and strap it to the shop helper, the crane, the winch, and then the winch to whatever I need to move, and use it to pull things around in the shop that's real heavy. So I got a little video of actually pulling the shaper into the shop, and so right now we're going to share that video with you. And alright guys, I hope you see where I went with the shop helper there. Now getting this thing in and out of here was a breeze. Like I said, we pulled it in, set up chains and snatch blocks, drag it right back to where we wanted it to be at, no problem. Alright, so now we're over at the shaper. Now I've been getting a lot of requests also about the shaper. Now I shot a video on the shaper when I first got in the shop and got it up and running, but I really didn't show anything that was making chips. Well, I've never operated a shaper before, so I've been experimenting with it a little bit, tool grinding and just operating a shaper in general. So I have been doing, and along the way I've been filming a little bit of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some clips that I've made on the shaper. Now I've cut aluminum, I've cut a little bit of steel. The problem is the steel I was cutting wasn't behaving like I wanted it to, so I really don't have any video to show you of that. But I've got a few shots here where we was cutting some aluminum and experimenting with some of my tools. In this first clip, there is a little bit of narration in it. This is actually the first chips that I had attempted to make. Now what I'm using is, I'm just using a piece of scrap aluminum that I had laying around here. It was a drop off of a piece I'd made a project out of. So it looks kind of, it's cut up. It was actually cut up on a water jet, but it's a piece of 2-inch aluminum, I think is what it was, maybe 3-inch. And the first chips, I think I was taking maybe 50, 80 thousandths depth cut. And like I said, just walking it over. And I got the video of that, so hold on, I'll get it pulled up. All right. G&E's first chips. I know it's aluminum. I haven't worked my way up to steel yet. We'll get there. guys, so there you have the first chips off of the shaper. Now, I did grind another tool and put it and place it in there. They're 1-inch tools. In this part, little clip, we're actually taking, I think, 300 thousandths depth and about 40 thousandths step over. Made a nice little chip, and I'm going to play that for you now. There you have it, some of the first chips off the shaper. So after doing that, I decided I needed to do a couple of things. One was I went out and purchased some tool holders. Now I think these are number 4s, and they're Williams and Armstrong, or maybe they're all Williams. Yeah. This one's an Armstrong and these 2 are Williams. I got a straight one, a left, and a right, number 4, which takes a 1/2-inch tool bit. So I started experimenting with my tool bits a little bit. Actually, I made a new lantern post, and later on in the video, I'll show you some of the video of machining that lantern post. Anyway, I ground a tool bit, and this is a tool bit that I used on a lathe a few times. And actually it's a finishing tool bit, and it's the way it's ground, I can cut left-handed or right-handed with it, which saves some time when you're doing light cuts trying to get a good finish on the project. Now the piece of material that you're going to see in the video was the same piece that I was machining in the first 2 clips, but I cannot find it to show you the finish. But however, I did use another block here, and if you want to look, I was getting a pretty decent finish off of it. So I've done 2 sides, and I'm very pleased with the tool bit. Also, you'll see in some of the video this piece of cast iron, and what this is a hub for a farm oil. I think it's an H, not sure. Maybe it's. Anyway, a while back I did a job where I bored out a hub for a farm oil wheel to go on a John Deere tractor. And this was an extra hub half that I had left over from the job. So I wanted to see how this performed on cast iron. So I used the same finishing bit to do this. And like I said, you'll see this in the video also. So there you have some of the first chips off of the G&E shaper. All right, so the next project we had, and this project when John came in a week or 2 ago, this is what the couple of projects that we made will be up next. First of all, I wanted a new lantern post. Now this lantern post is what came with the shaper. It's for a 1-inch tool bit, and these are some 1-inch tool bits here. And it looks pretty beat to hell up, okay? I'll be honest with you. So anyway, I'm still going to use it for 1 inch. I had some material laying around the shop, so I wanted to make one to fit these number 4s, and I think they're 13/16. Now a couple of them's been ground on a little bit, so we made this tool post for 820 thousandths slot in it. Now I've got some pictures of it out of the shaper, so it turned out really nice. Now one of the cool things that I've been doing is this shaper and 0748 are from the same era. Maybe a couple years separates them. So everything that I'm making for this shaper, we're making on 0748. Plus, guys, I love running it. It is an awesome lathe, but this isn't about the lathe so much. But anyway, we've been making all the parts on 0748. We've been doing things that you didn't think you could do on a machine. That old one with that speeds is we turned aluminum, we've turned this, we've used carbide. So you're going to see that in some video coming up, and I'm fixing to take you to that video, and it's just some highlights. Now, John was running the lathe most of the time. I was running the saw, but anyway, we made some pretty cool cuts, and I got some, like I said, some foam footage of it, and we just went at it. We didn't set up a camera. I was just videoing as I went along. So stay tuned, and you'll see some pretty cool footage on the 0748. All right, guys, so there you have it. There's the video of showing some of the lantern tool posts made. Thought I had a little more, and I actually do, but it wasn't really worthy of putting on. We did everything on 748 except for cut the slot and square up the jam bolt. Cut 5/8 11 threads. Now that lathe set up, the change gears on it was kind of tricky. You had to go to a really big gear setup to do it, which it did it fine. But anyway, we threaded the bolt, and then we used the mill to do the slot and square up the head. And here's the old tool post, and you can see why I was trying to make a new one. It's like someone beat it up a little bit. So I am going to, I really had considered putting the tool lifter back on here, and I'm pretty sure I am, but when I do that, you're not going to be able to take as heavy a cuts as you can with this shaper, but I'm good with that. So, all right, guys, so the next thing that me and John tackled when he was here is I put every machine I have here in the shop, I usually put feet on. One, to get them up off the ground, and two, if I need to move them, I can get a pallet jack up underneath them and move them around here in the shop. So this was no different. We made a couple feet, and we just made them out of some 4-inch aluminum aluminum rod I had, and we've got some video on it. Again, we still made this on old 748. We did everything on 748. With the rod, except for cutting the rod. We cut the rod on the old Marvel hacksaw, so you'll get to see it run a little bit. Now John did most of that work on 748, and we've got a little video of doing some of it. And basically, while he was doing that, I was cutting the rod, I was playing with my camera, my phone, and I was playing with the shaper a little bit. So stay tuned, and I'll add those clips in now and let you see what else we So here's the shaper feet installed on the shaper. I did this a couple days after we'd actually got everything finished. They work good. The shaper's a lot more solid. Now the shaper probably should be bolted down to the floor somehow, and we may have to do that later on, but right now we got it on feet. Basically all they are is a 4-inch aluminum disc, 1.5 inch thick, tapped 3/4 18 or 3/4 16, excuse me, and then got adjustment nuts on it with real heavy duty washers. So this was a job leveling this machine out, and it actually ain't quite leveled all the way out yet. I got some more work to do. But anyway, there's our feet. There you have it. There's the short videos I wanted to add in there. Now also I have some video, and I'm going to add it in the back. As you know, if you've watched Brian Block's video, I dropped off the John Doe shaper to him this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and he's going to do some machine work on it. Now I've videotaped basically everything you've seen in his video, but from a different angle. And my wife was actually running the camera, and I forgot to tell her to turn on the microphone. So we have no sound. So I'm just going to throw in a different perspective of Brian's video, and it's just going to be put fast forward and in some motion for you to see it right here at the end of the video. And the Scat Blast, I don't have any video footage of it. It's outside. I'm actually going to do a video on it by itself, so you'll see that coming up in a later video. So anyway, I'm gonna add the video of us moving in the shaper into Brian's place, and apologize for the audio on the Brian Block video, but Brian did a really good job shooting his video with the audio. So if you really want to see it, go over to Brian Block's channel and watch it with audio. I just wanted to add a little different perspective or a little different angle of the video. And again, I'm sorry for the audio. I thought about dubbing it in, but like I said, Brian did an excellent job, so go over and check it out. Next off, I want to thank Roy Lewis, John Doe, and Brian Block for doing what they're doing for me. Guys, this YouTube community is awesome. I also want to thank all of you for watching. All of you that comment, all of you that hit the like button, dislike button. Thank you again for watching. This is it's been an incredible ride so far. Next thing up, the Bar Z Bash out in California. Check out Stan Zanikowski's Facebook page for the information. Guys, it's open to the public. There's tons and tons and tons of prizes being given away. There's a couple of online, I know American Rotary and a couple other people are offering prizes. You need to get on there and sign up. Check out Stan's channel. Get over there and sign up for the American Rotary phase converter. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. if you can, make the trip. It's open to the public. It's a good way to meet the YouTube providers or the YouTube creators. And a lot of the sponsors of our channels will be there, and they have merchandise like you wouldn't believe. And Stan does an excellent job putting this thing on. It's something that you don't want to miss. Okay? Again, thank you guys for watching. We got several projects coming up in the shop I hope to get done. But it's the busy time of year right now, and I'll do what I can. Trying to think of what so again, this is the end of the video, and I look forward to making some more pretty soon. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for hitting the like button. And from the Backyard Machine Shop, so long.